Fire Emblem Heroes, the game where you build up a pretty percent so high to summon a blue unit, but the game forces you to summon on a pool full of reds, instead giving you the Corel you never asked for and putting your chances back to 3%. Okay, that broke my rate! But listen, maybe you were looking for a red unit. If so, good freaking luck. The red summoning pool is saturated with so many 5-star units that you're not looking for. Some good and some bad, but today we're going to be focusing on the good. That being said, welcome to the top 5 red units in Fire Emblem Heroes. Now please do keep in mind that this is solely based on my opinion alone, and Sonic says if you have an anime profile picture, your opinion doesn't count. So therefore, you're not allowed to get mad at me if you don't agree. Instead of being mad, what you can do is leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, as well as leaving your own top 5 in the comments below. Without further ado, let's do it.
Run while you can!
It's no surprise that Ike is one of the stronger lords in Fire Emblem history, and it really shows well in Fire Emblem Heroes. Originally thought to be one of the characters available on launch day since he is one of the most popular characters from the series, and he was even on some of the promotional art for the game. Ike actually released a full 3 months after the game came out, being summonable on April 26, 2017, on the World of Radiance banner joined by Soren, Titania, and Mist. But he was certainly worth the wait. He is a really well-rounded character, but heavily lacks in resistance, which would make his stats hold true to his origin game Super Smash Bros. Brawl. In comparison to other sword users, Ike is definitely a bit on the slower side, but the trade-off is all the bulk he's got going for himself, which is why you might want to choose him over someone who will more than likely be a glass cannon. His weapon of choice is the Ragnall, which has a might of 16 and distant counter built into it. This works really well. Since he has fairly high HP, attack, and defense, he'll definitely give some bow and staff users a whole lot of trouble. His default kit is actually really good as well. Back when skill inheritance was not a thing, he actually had some of the best default skills in the game. It includes Aether as his special skill, and as for his passive skills, he has Heavy Blade for his slot A and Sword Breaker for his slot B. Also, speaking of Heavy Blade, can we get a moment of silence for everyone who fought it off Ike just moments before the Gift of Peace Tempest trials, which seen that skill become available as a sacred seal? My thoughts and prayers go out to your fallen Ike for Heavy Blade. Anyway, you can summon Ike on any given banner. He is only available as a 5-star character and can be found in any red summoning stone. If you do end up getting him, fingers crossed his IVs are either minus res or minus HP, because he can benefit off of any other stat pretty much. The most optimal, I would say, is either plus attack or plus speed, with minus being res. And as for the build you should run on him, my good friend Phoenix Master 1 actually made a video on the various sets that would work well for him, so go ahead and check that out. It will be linked in the video description down below. So in short, massive attack and respectable bulk with distant counter built into his weapon, there was no way the young mercenary Ike would not make it on this top 5.
Curious as to who I am? You're better off not knowing. Or perhaps even asking.
Your eyes do not deceive you, a free-to-play character made it on the list. It's Black Knight. I was gonna make a joke about the whole BK standing for a fast food restaurant type of thing, but they have not paid me to say their brand name, so I had to skip this one. He's a character both free-to-play and pay-to-play players could definitely appreciate. He was released as a Tempest Trials reward for the Moment of Fate event on September 23rd, 2017. If you were able to reach the score of 6,000, you were granted a 4-star variant of Black Knight, and if you pushed on through to a score of 30,000, you were rewarded the 5-star version. That's right, you were able to get 2 of him. Now, seeing as how he is a character given to you for free, his IVs are completely neutral and you cannot summon for him. He is an armored unit, but trust me when I say slow and steady is definitely going to be winning the race this time around. He has good stats all over the place, except resistance, but not everyone can be a mage counter. Speaking of counter, his weapon, the Alondite, which has a might of 16, has distant counter built into it. That's right, you got yourself an armored unit that can counterattack regardless of the distance. If all the bow users aren't shaking in their boots right now, they have no idea what they got coming. His kit is also something real beautiful. For his special skill, he has Black Luna, which is exclusive to him, and it fights the foe as if they lost 80% of their defense and resistance stat. That is absolute madness. Black Luna can make even the most bulky characters look paper thin. For his passives, he's got Steady Stance for his A slot, which helps in enemy phase, and for his B slot, he's got Wings of Mercy, which will help him get around the map a lot easier. Now, you're probably thinking he has some pretty juicy potential if you give him up for skill inheritance, but I would not recommend it. Steady Stance and Wings of Mercy are cool, but this might be the only merge on him you'll ever get, so I'd hold off on wasting this character. As for builds, I would recommend checking out Phoenix Master 1's unit review on Black Knight, which includes a skill inheritance guide where he tells you the best sets better than I ever could, and you can find that link in the video description. He is bulky, hits hard, and has one of the most broken specials in the game, which is why Black Knight marched his way into this top 5.
I'll dye you red.
Once upon a time, everyone wanted to be unique until we seen the peak performance of what normal really looks like. Normal Girl Thuja is hands down one of the best red units in the game, and to an even further extent, possibly one of the best tome users as well. Not to be confused with their first appearance being Dark Shadow Thuja, this Christmas edition is on a whole nother level. She released on December 18, 2017 on the Winter's Envoy banner alongside Christmas editions of Chrom, Robin, and Lissa. Unfortunately, she is a seasonal unit, meaning that she is exclusive to the Winter's Envoy banner alone as a 5-star only, which is no longer available. But as seen with other banner exclusive characters, we may see her return here in the next few months, so don't give up hope. Now, believe it or not, she is actually an armored unit. I had her since release, and even now I still sometimes forget that she can only move a singular space. I wonder what part of her makes me think that she's not an armored unit, but I'll let you guys take a guess on that one. She does really well in every single stat besides speed, which is understandable since she is an armored unit after all. She was the second armored tome user to make it into the game after Halloween Henry, of course, and she is absolutely wonderful. Her default weapon is the Candelabra Plus, which has a might of 12 and grants attack, speed, defense, res, +2 if the enemy initiates combat, which is absolutely insane, and you could also refine the weapon. It is recommended to refine for defense since Thuja is very much an enemy phase unit and her kit relies on taking hits from foes. Her special skill is Iceberg, which you could replace with Glacies right away due to her passive skills. Here in slot A we have Close Counter. She is the second character to get access to this in her original kit, first being Takumi way back on release day of Fire Emblem Heroes. For her slot B, she has got Vengeful Fighter 3, which is why you want to run Glacies instead of Iceberg. If you're above 50% in health and the foe initiates combat, you make a guaranteed follow-up attack and you get special cooldown charge per attack. That is absolutely wonderful, especially considering you also get the boost from the Candelabra Plus on enemy phase as well, so the weapon and Vengeful Fighter work so well together. Plus, since your cooldown charge goes down per attack on your end, that 4 cooldown on Glacies isn't looking so bad now, is it? Her sleeve slot is Red Tome Valor, which you'll probably never use unless you're trying to grind SP for fellow Red Tome users. If you're fortunate enough to summon her, honestly any plus stat that isn't speed would be wonderful, and of course you want the minus stat to be the speed. The most optimal would have to be plus attack minus speed, but we can't choose the IVs, so make do with what you got. As for builds, all of her default skills work really well. Just switch out Red Tome Valor for Threat and Res 3 and give her swap or reposition as an assist skill, and you're going to be putting in some of the finest of work. Long story short, arguably one of the best tome users in the game that excels in almost every single stat, hard to kill but easy to kill with, which is why Normal Girl Thuja is on this top 5.
Today is a good day!
The fastest character in the game at the time of making this video, it's Mia. She's about to give Sonic the Hedgehog a run for his money, or rings, my bad. She was available to summon in the game on November 15, 2017, sharing a debut banner with Dorcas and Loot. You can summon her on pretty much any banner as of late, and she is summonable as a 5-star only in red colored summoning stones. She has really good stats all around, even her defense and resistance are respectable, which makes her a perfect candidate for distant counter. Not only can she take hits, but she can also have no trouble dealing the damage right back. Her weapon of choice is the Resolute Blade with a might of 16 and grants +3 attack, which is always nice, but it also adds +10 damage whenever your special triggers. Her default special skill is Luna, which is always a fairly reliable special. For her passives, she's got Flashing Blade in the A slot, which is essentially Heavy Blade but for speed instead of attack. So long as you have at least 5 more speed than the foe, you get an extra special cooldown charge per attack. And for her B slot, she has Vantage, which is always fun. As for her IVs, you either want plus attack or plus speed, and the minus would either be in resistance or HP, but of course you could use whatever you want. Now for the builds, you have 2 options. A reasonable build and then an expensive premium build. Both work really well, but it all depends on how much you're willing to invest. For the reasonable build, you can go Resolute Blade for the weapon, reposition for the assist skill, Moonbow as the special, Flashing Blade for slot A, Desperation for slot B, and Hone Speed for slot C. This works really well, but if you want to take it a step further, you can run Resolute Blade as the weapon, reposition as the assist skill once again, Moonbow for the special, Distant Counter for slot A, Wrath for slot B, which actually stacks with the +10 damage from Resolute Blade whenever you activate your special, and Hone Speed 3 for the C slot. Put simply, she is really fast and hits really hard but can also live a hit, which is why she is on this top 5.
Your life is mine.
And finally, the best red unit in Fire Emblem Heroes has got to be Ira, someone who originally wasn't even a villain in her origin game, quickly became one in the community because she releases a Tempest Trials banner focus unit sharing the red spotlight with Eldigan, and many people even thought she was going to be a free unit as well. She released on October 19, 2017, sharing a banner with Eldigan and Lachesis as a Tempest Trials bonus unit for the Genealogy of Light event. You can now summon her on more or less any banner using the red colored stones, as she appears as a 5-star only. As for her stats, she's actually out there doing quite large things indeed, because she is fast and actually is quite bulky for an infantry sword user, which is much speed as she does have. Speed does play a large role in what she's able to do, seeing as how her weapon Ira's Blade, which is a little possessive I'd say, it gives you +3 speed and a special cooldown charge per attack if you have at least 1 speed higher than your enemy. It does not stack with other skills similar such as Heavy Blade and Flashing Blade, but is a very good thing to have built into her weapon. It pairs really well with her unique special, Ragnalastra, which boosts the damage dealt by 40% of unit speed, which in Ira's case is base 37, which is neutral. With the +3 from her sword, you'll almost certainly be doing a whole lot of damage every time it activates, which should be quite often since it only has a cooldown of 2. Her default kit is also fairly premium, since it comes with Swift Spiral 2 as her passive A slot and Desperation 3 for the B slot. She is almost ready right out of the box. All you have to do is maybe throw in Threaten Speed or Threaten Defense on the C slot and reposition for the assist skill, and your opponent's got hella trouble, as the kids would say nowadays. But if you want to take it a step further, you can even run Distant Counter with their advantage, but for a lot of people, myself included, Distant Counter is asking for a lot since it is only available on one character as of now, who is Hector, someone who's fairly hard to summon. Now as for the IVs, you either want plus attack or plus speed, but so long as your minus is an attack or speed, you can make it work. If you want a little more insight on how you can run Ira, my friend Phoenix Master 1 had her featured on his series where he creates various builds for all sorts of units. As always, you can find that in the video description. All in all, the reason Ira is the best red unit in the game is due to her high speed and damage output paired up with the very easy special skill to activate that deals a lot of hit points, and it's exclusive to her, which is why she is the best red unit in Fire Emblem Heroes. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Please make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to RasouliPlays since your support really means a lot. If you're interested in seeing a certain top 5, doesn't have to be Fire Emblem Heroes related, but it certainly can be, go ahead and leave your suggestions in the comments as well as your own top 5 red units. If your list differs from mine, I'd love to read it. Also, a huge thank you to Phoenix Master 1 for recording footage of Mia, since she is a character I currently do not have, so make sure to go ahead and check him out. Thank you all so much for watching, like I said, and I will catch you guys later.